Very shortly after his NBA debut, Luka Doncic was already considered one of the best players in the game. And since arriving to the NBA, the Slovenian has introduced us to Luka Magic, giving us fans highlight play after highlight play, though some players have also learned about Luka Magic the hard way by experiencing it on the court. Join us now as we take a look at 10 times Luka Doncic embarrassed other NBA stars. Number 10. Paul George. PG-13 has become one of the most laughed at players by the NBA community. The mockery started back after George's last game in an OKC Thunder uniform, when Damian Lillard sent the Thunder home with a deep three-point buzzer beater over PG. He went on to call that a bad shot. The following season, George, and the entire Los Angeles Clippers squad for that matter, were ridiculed by the entire world after choking a 3-1 lead in the second round of the 2020 playoffs. A Paul George corner three that hit the side of the backboard was turned into a meme and a never-ending satire of the Clippers' disappointing season. It's 2021 now, and the poor George still can't catch a break. He was once again mocked at by NBA Twitter and the online basketball community for his latest embarrassment, this one at the hands of Luka Doncic. It was late in the fourth quarter with the Dallas Mavericks holding a double-digit lead. There were just under 2 minutes remaining on the clock, but apparently the Clippers still thought they had a chance to come back. And so they sent George, widely considered one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA, to guard Doncic. He did so tightly, keeping himself very close to Luka. Doncic drove from the half-court line to the right wing, bringing George with him, but then performed behind the back that made George slide down and reach with his hands to avoid falling. The damage had already been done by then, as Luka immediately drained a 13-foot floater that firmly put the game out of reach for the Clippers. It was an embarrassing moment for PG and an embarrassing loss for the Clippers. Number 9. TRAE Young. No matter what happens or what they do for the rest of their careers, Luka Doncic and TRAE Young will forever be linked by that 2018 draft night trade that saw Dallas swap picks with Atlanta, turning Doncic into a Maverick and Young into a Hawk. Since then, both players have evolved into all-stars, but Luka is undoubtedly the better player. If you needed a visual representation of how this works, look no further than this embarrassing block by Luka Doncic on a helpless Young. Both guys weren't even 2 months into their NBA careers when they first matched up. We had a very tight game late in the third quarter when TRAE called for a left side screen from Alex Len, but beating his man by the right, smartly opened up the paint by forcing Len's defender DeAndre Jordan to come up. Young thought he had an easy layup, but out of nowhere came Luka Doncic. He was busy guarding Kevin Huerter on the weak side corner, but quickly made it to the paint to deliver an emphatic rejection to Young. TRAE and Luka are really good friends to this day, but since this block, Doncic has been on a ride that Young will hardly ever match. Number 8. Bradley Beal. Okay, so everybody knows what Bradley Beal brings to the table, right? He's a scoring machine that can light you up from anywhere on the court. And we can say he's a much improved playmaker, but he's a one-dimensional player, as he won't make much of an impact on the defensive end. So when Luka Doncic drew Beal in a late fourth quarter possession on the opening game for both teams' 2018-2019 regular season, he knew it was barbecue chicken time. Doncic stood past half court while being guarded by Beal, when Jalen Brunson approached to set a fake screen on the Wizard star. Luka saw the opportunity to dribble left but immediately crossed right, sending Beal butt first down on the hardwood in truly embarrassing fashion. Unfortunately, this was called an offensive foul on Brunson, whose foot made minimal contact with Beal's foot. But upon closer review, you can clearly see that it wasn't really the reason why Bradley Beal came down. He simply got dropped by Luka. We can't give the ref a lot of dirt for this one, as watching it on real time made it a very hard call. But at least we know the ultimate truth. Number 7. LeBron James. The King was one of Luka's childhood idols, so when Doncic first got a chance to play against LeBron James, it must have been one of his most special moments both as a pro and in his life. But even if James was his biggest inspiration on the court, the Wonder Boy couldn't take him lightly or allow himself to remain starstruck in their first meeting. About a month into Doncic's NBA career, his Dallas Mavericks got their first taste against James and the Los Angeles Lakers. It was midway through the first quarter when the Mavs got off to a hot start and held a double-digit lead. The Lakers were in possession of the ball, and Brandon Ingram got stuck on the right corner when he spotted LeBron cutting toward the basket and passed him the ball. James immediately tried to go up for a layup at the rim before getting blocked by Doncic not once, but twice. They say that the first impression is always the longest lasting, so what a way for Luka to introduce himself to the King. Number 6. Zion Williamson. Much like Doncic, Zion Williamson is another one of the young, super hyped NBA players by the sports outlets on social media. And rightfully so. By his third season in the league, Luka was already in the MVP conversation while Williamson continued to build upon his success as a young player. And on February 12, 2021, we got a clash between the two red-hot youngbloods. The Mavs were already in control of the game in the fourth quarter when Zion found himself defending an isolated Doncic on the right wing. Now, Williamson is an athletic freak, but not even he could contain the onslaught of Luka Magic. In this possession, Doncic beat Zion to the middle of the paint with a quick first step. Luka then stopped and pump-faked a short mid-range shot that was enough to get Zion off the ground. Doncic knew exactly what he was doing, as he immediately went under the jumping Williamson and made an easy layup in close. Not only was Zion embarrassed in this play, but Luka straight up outplayed him, earning a win and finishing with 46 points, 12 assists, and 8 boards. Number 5. Kyrie Irving. Very similarly to Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving became famous for his lethal offense. He's one of the best ball handlers the game has ever seen, but defense has never been his thing. He doesn't have the ideal frame of a plus defender, and he hasn't developed much of a defensive IQ either. So it's not that surprising that Luka Doncic would embarrass him. What is surprising, though, is the manner in which he conducted the embarrassment. There were only 4 seconds left on the shot clock halfway through the first quarter of Doncic's first career meeting with the then Kyrie Irving-led Boston Celtics. Doncic received a pass on top of the three-point arc, drawing Irving, who as a matter of fact played very good in close defense on Luka, if only just for a second. Doncic quickly stepped back and appeared to be attempting a shot, but it was only a pump fake. Kyrie bit hard and went jumping and flying past Luka, who went under him and immediately launched a three that was released just in time to beat the buzzer. The crowd went nuts and everybody cheered. Everybody except for Kyrie, of course. Number 4. Paul Millsap. A former All-Star in his heyday, Paul Millsap deserves a ton of credit for what the Nuggets have built over these last couple of seasons. He may not have the numbers and stats he once had as an All-Star, but he's been able to contribute and, most importantly, serve as a leader and veteran mentor for the many young, talented players on the Nuggets roster, and use his experience to be an example for the team. But in this particular play, it's safe to assume Millsap wasn't trying to be an example for anybody. It was a very tight game between the Nuggets and the Mavs in the Mile High City, and Dallas held a 1-point lead and had possession of the ball with the shot clock already turned off. Doncic was being guarded by Gary Harris on the left side past half court, and teammate Maxi Kleber set a right side screen for Luka, hoping to force a switch or at least open up some space for him. It worked as Harris got stuck in the screen and had to run back on a rolling Kleber. This left a confused Mason Plumlee at the mercy of Luka, who only needed a small hesitation to force him off balance. Doncic managed to drive past Plumlee right through the middle, but a lurking Paul Millsap awaited right at the paint. But it didn't matter. Luka rose up and delivered an uncommon poster dunk that also drew a whistle. Not only did Doncic win the Mavs the game, but made Paul Millsap look really bad. Plus, think about how embarrassing it must be that you're one of the few people Luka has ever posterized. Number 3. Paul George. Again, Doncic might have to give George a frequent client card, because PG has been embarrassed by the Wonder Boy on multiple occasions already. In this very simple play, Luka had control of the ball during a first quarter possession on a game against the OKC Thunder, which was George's team back then. Luka drew the Defensive Player of the Year candidate shortly after crossing half court, and used a simple give-and-go action with Harrison Barnes to start an aggressive drive towards the rim as he got the ball back. All it took was a simple stop and a fake turn to put George on skates, something Doncic immediately capitalized on by making a close layup without much opposition. It was an embarrassing look for George and the Thunder, who ended up losing that game by 2 points. If anything, Doncic just shows you how you don't need the fanciest of moves to break some ankles. Number 2. Clint Capela. Ever since he broke out as the starting center for the Houston Rockets, Clint Capela has made a living out of catching alley-oops, rebounding like a monster, and protecting the rim at an elite level. And something he hasn't made a living out of is defending the perimeter. So guess what Luka Doncic thought once he forced a Clint Capela switch on him? Barbecue chicken alert! There was a minute left in Luka's first career meeting with the Houston Rockets, and the score was tied up at 102. The Mavs performed some setup actions to get PJ Tucker off Doncic, with Eric Gordon appearing to be Luka's desired target. But Gordon ended up covering the other side of the court, and DeAndre Jordan's screen forced Clint Capela onto Doncic, and what he did next took a lot of guts. Luka aggressively tried to blow by Capela to the right, but he immediately stepped back to the three-point line and attempted a three. And even though Capela would obviously be a nice target due to how slow he is, he still managed to recover somewhat in time and use his length to bother Luka's release. But the kid was just too good. Doncic nailed the dagger three over the extended arms of Capela and sealed the game. Don't forget, we're talking about a rookie here. Talk about being truly clutch. Number 1. Rudy Gobert. The controversial Rudy Gobert. Many people claim his resume, which includes multiple All-Star and All-NBA selections, as well as 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, hides how average Gobert truly is. Now, everybody is entitled to their opinion, but it's impossible to deny Gobert is the best rim protector in the game today. Well, guess what? Luka beat Gobert at his own game and in his house, and he did it in epic fashion. In what turned out to be one of the most embarrassing plays of all time, Luka managed to grab an offensive rebound off his own miss away from Gobert's hands. Luka then found himself inside the paint right under the rim. And with the towering 7'1" monster who also had both of his arms raised up right in front of him. But Doncic found the most clever and embarrassing way to get himself a free bucket. Luka simply faked a two-handed pass behind Gobert's back, which forced the center to turn all the way around to find out where the pass had gone to. But that split second was enough for Doncic to make an easy layup right at the rim, as Gobert looked like an absolute fool and soon found out the pass went nowhere but instead became an easy bucket. This is a clip people often use to question Gobert's true value as a player, but this was just a case of Doncic putting up some Luka magic on display for all of us to enjoy. And these were 10 times Luka embarrassed other NBA stars. Did we miss any specific moments in our list? Let us know in the comments down below. And as always, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel.